One, two, one, two, one, two, one, two. We in the building. We got a new member, G Mama. Appreciate you. Hold on, let me salute to the members. Salute to the genuine supporters. Salute to the chat. Everybody watching from behind the scenes. Everybody who catch this on the replay. It's your host / DJ Holla. Yeah. So, I try to come up with some topics. And what's been coming across my timeline, if you seen it, first of all, my prayers go out to all the families in, Jamaica, the people from Jamaica, who got caught up in the hurricane, everybody over there, who got family over there vacationing and stuff like that. But I see this back and forth. I guess it's going on TikTok. They talk about Black Americans. Now I don't know if they talk about FBAs or when they say Black Americans, I don't know what they mean. Complaining about the service and stuff in Jamaica. I seen a couple of clips. I ain't got no clips to play, but I don't know if anybody has seen it. So in one clip, it's silent, so you don't really hear nobody. And they said that was a Black American woman, but then it turns out it was not. It was I think she was from Bermuda or something like that. I think she was a West Indian woman. So it was other clips of some ladies complaining and stuff like that. Now my whole thing is, it got me to thinking. Now I don't know if they was just talking about Black American women, like women that's Black from America, or FBAs. But it got me to thinking, how do you know those people inside of the video were Black American women. Go ahead, what's going on, my brother? Because it got me to thinking, like me personally, like I can tell. Sometimes I can tell somebody is, let's say FBA, right? So FBA is what people say. I could tell if somebody's FBA sometimes, but not all of the time. So when they say Black Americans is complaining in Jamaica and all of that, how do they know it's Black Americans? Like, appreciate my brother, appreciate. Because I see a lot of videos going on, but I can't tell. I don't know if those people are Black Americans, but they all not. So I don't know why, all of this um, animosity is going on. So yeah, I was just thinking about that. Because if if you move to the states and you don't embrace, your own culture, like if you don't, like some people, they stick to their culture, from where they from, and some people, you know, go to American culture. Now in American culture, you got quote unquote so-called white culture, you got quote unquote, black culture. Then you got, all the other cultures in between. So some people come here and they embrace black culture, or what they may call FBA culture. So they pick up the lingo, um, the dress, the style, you know. So sometimes you can't tell if somebody is quote unquote what they call black American. So now when you say black American, I don't know what that means. Do they mean people that's born in America that's black, or FBAs, or all of the above? That's why a lot of the times these arguments is confusing to me, because I don't know who specifically people are referring to when they say black Americans all the time. You know what I'm saying? And maybe everybody don't mean the same thing. Maybe people mean have their own definition of what they um, perceive to be a black American. And this is why I guess, they have the FBA, the whole delineation thing and stuff like that. So, it can be more specific on who people are talking about when they say black or black American and stuff like that, because it can get real confusing. But no, what's going on, my brother? Black American means FBA, period. I hear you, my brother. I hear you. That's what I would think. You know what I'm saying? But everybody got their own definition. So did you hear about the whole Jamaica the issue, they saying that black Americans is complaining about the service during the hurricane and stuff like that. LaPuffy, what's going on, LaPuffy? The tether. Oh, come on, Lenard. Not that. Not the tethers. Yeah, because my question is, how could you tell if these people were FBA or Black American or whatever, however they perceive it? How could you tell who? Because one of the ladies was from Bermuda or something like that, and they was claiming she was a Black American. So how do you know that someone is like a Black American? How could you tell? Especially if maybe they was born here, um, or they came here as a youngster, and they picked up the lingo, the fashion, the culture. How could you tell? They just show they hate for us. I mean, but I can't say everybody. On the social media, certain people feel certain type of ways. Um, but I always say people should check their own people. You need to check your people because then people feel like everybody feels this type of way. You know what I'm saying? Crook, what's going on, Crook? Let me see. Wasn't aware there was against FBA. Yeah, yeah, the hurricane. People was complaining about the service at some of the resorts during the hurricane, and they said it was Black Americans, but it turned out one of the ladies was from Bermuda or something like that. So, so I don't know if it was any Black Americans. I'm not saying it wasn't, but I'm not saying it was. And I'm just saying, how could you tell if it was from how we talk, how we dress, because if you from America or you came to America at a young age and you picked up the lingo and the fashion, sometimes people can't tell. So sometimes I can't even tell. So yeah, that was just my question. How could you tell who's FBA from how? From what? How they dress, how they talk, how they walk? How could you tell? So Leonard said, there was probably a little hidden hatred, and it just got exposed. You know what I'm saying? So, but I know I'm from the Bronx. I know how it is. You know what I'm saying? I know how it is. I got all types of people mixed into my family now. But growing up, we ain't always get along, especially our parents and grandparents and stuff like that. We ain't always get along. 1609, what's going on, my brother? Yeah, man. Let me see. I'll drop the link if anybody want to hit the link. Crago is in the building. What's going on? Salute to the members. El Plaga. They think we can't tell, but we totally can. Well, Leonard, like I said, sometimes I can't tell. Sometimes I be getting caught off guard. I be like, oh wow, you from such and such. I ain't know that. You know what I'm saying? So so when people see certain people, they might see young people, they might see other people, and they be like, oh, those Black Americans, they in gangs, they all drug dealers and but people who come from immigrant families, they be in gangs, they be selling drugs, they be doing crimes, but maybe they the ones who embrace our culture, they be like, they look at it like those as FBAs, those as because where I come from, people who speak like N word this, N word that, they ain't FBA. Like all my peoples ain't FBA, but you wouldn't be able to tell. Some of them you'll be able to tell, but a lot of them you won't be able to tell. So, I'm just saying that's how it be. Bro, I can't tell unless they mix with well, it depends on where you from. Where you from, Leonard? Like it depends on where you from. You know what I'm saying? Because I know in the South, listen, I got family in the South. I got folk in the South that they don't know nothing about a Puerto Rican. They don't know nothing about a Dominican. They think all Spanish people is Mexican. All they know is Mexican. They don't know nothing else. But that's in the deep South. All Spanish people to them is Mexican. But you come up to New York, you know what I'm saying? Um you got Puerto Ricans, Latin, Spanish people. You got West Indian people. They all speak N word. This, what up? This. They dress. This, So, but in the South, it's kind of different. It's changing now. It's changing. But in the Deep South, it's real different. Especially when I was growing up. But in New York, you never know. Somebody you think is FBA, they could be from they could be Panamanian. I got one of my homies from Honduras. You wouldn't even know. When people call all Latins Mexicans, it's not really a diss. Yeah. 1609. They just don't know. They don't know. It depends on where you at. Now, some people, be trying to be funny and all that. It's the same way. It's the same thing with the N word. Some people, they just that's just how they. That's just their environment. And some people, they try to be slick. You know what I'm saying? But in the deep South, they don't know nothing but Mexicans. That's all they know. Well, I'm not saying all of them, but when I was growing up, things change now. I go to the South. I be seeing it be Puerto Ricans in the South. I don't know about the deep South, but matter of fact, one of my peoples, he half Puerto Rican, half Dominican. He moved to the South. I always got along with Puerto Ricans better than Mexican. Well, it's not in New York, the Mexicans is different from, say, in LA. When I went to LA, I said these Mexicans is different from in New York. Yeah, those Mexicans is different. But as far as FBA, how you know if somebody's FBA or they not FBA? So when you say all FBAs don't got fathers, they in gangs, they sell drugs, they what else? What else they be saying? They lazy, they this, they that. Listen, I'm from the Bronx, and I know a lot of people who's not FBA, who you may think is FBA, and they go through the same things people be saying about FBAs. So I don't know, man. I don't know how people could tell, especially with even nowadays is even more difficult to tell. When I was growing up, it was kind of different. You know what I'm saying? You only had a few West Indians and Latin and Spanish people who was down, or if you want to call it down or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So it was different back in the days. Now, man, listen, it was kind of more segregated. Everybody ain't get along. Everybody, wasn't cool. Don't get it twisted. Do a quiz. Now, listen, if you do a quiz, if we do a quiz, who's FBA, I could do it like that. I could tell like that. But if you just meeting somebody or you just seeing somebody, like say you see a crime or you see a bunch of what y'all call hoodlums, you know what I'm saying? And you just assume, those are some black American blacks, you know what I'm saying? How could you tell? That's how I don't know how they get the statistics and all that, man. You want to, when they say black on black crime and all that, they not just talking about FBAs. They talking about all black people in America. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, my heart goes out to Jamaica. I got a lot of um, people from Jamaica. I got people in my family from Jamaica. But as far as the back and forth, Black Americans and all that type of stuff. I'm kind of confused. I don't really understand how the whole thing started and what it's about. But I think, people need to concentrate on what's going on instead of, this. When y'all watch the documentary on Somalian gangs that blew my yeah. Listen, listen. I ain't even gonna get into that type of stuff, but I definitely hear you, my brother. I definitely hear you. But I think the more important thing is instead of concentrating on a couple of people um, who was recording themselves complaining or whatever the hell they was doing, and it went viral, and everybody started paying attention to that instead of people getting caught up in that weirdness and making it about FBAs and Jamaicans. People should concentrate on the relief and trying to help those people out. You know what I'm saying? Because I guess this is content and all of that, but I think it's more complicated than Black Americans complaining about service in Jamaica during the hurricane. And I don't know who these people are coming on here trying to stir the pot, but I guess they doing it for content. Because it's difficult to tell who's Black American or who's not, especially if you're speaking of just FBAs. Now, if you're just speaking of Black people from America, okay, that's a whole different story. That's why I said I'm not really sure on the details of all of this stuff, so I'm not going to get all emotional about it. Somalia, one of them took down the Black Hawk, not the Black Hawk. I'm done. But anyway, I don't want to take up too much of y'all time, man. I just wanted to get on here real quick. Salute to y'all, man. I appreciate y'all. Salute to all of the members, the genuine supporters, the chat, everybody watching from the back pause. Everybody catch this on the replay. It's your host and your DJ Holla. Catch y'all on the next one.